Some white farmers has unalived two South African men again. They said they were trying to steal food from their farm or something, and they beat these men and burn them until they unalive. And yet you will still see some black South Africans come under the comment section and say it's a rainbow nation and say they are one and still preaching love towards the white. Some of you are disgracing your ancestors. Everything your ancestors...
Only reason you are targeting Africans because they are vulnerable. You are scared of the person who is your enemy. The one that came from his country and took your land. And the one who, even today, still doesn't...
Yo, so hear this, right? White Zimbabwean farmers want Trump to help them get $3.5 billion from Zimbabwe. I'm going to say it again. White Zimbabwean farmers want Trump to help them get $3.5 billion from Zimbabwe. According to Al Jazeera, a group of commercial farmers have formally asked Trump to intervene. So I'll give you the backstory. Back in the early 2000s, Zimbabwe launched radical land reform. They took land from white commercial farmers and gave it back, operative term, right, to black Zimbabweans. The West didn't like it, so sanctions hit, the economy spiraled.
Hello guys, how are you all doing? So let's talk about how black South Africans are being killed by white farmers in South Africa. So a white farmer killed the black South Africans. According to him, he said he thought they were dogs. They got into his farmland. He thought they were dogs. What does that mean? How can you describe a human being as a dog? To be honest, this was a time where the black South Africa should have come out to protest against these people killing them, because it's not the first time these people are killing them, to be honest with you. It's not the first time. I saw one woman crying of how her 2 children were killed because they don't want black South Africans to pass through their farm. If black South Africans pass through their farm, they are going to kill them. We don't know why things like this are not trending, or why is it that the black South Africans are not coming out to protest against this kind of thing. All right guys, let's also talk about Zimbabwe. You see what Zimbabwe and South Africans are going through. Their land were mostly owned by white farmers, and they made a law last year that ensures that lands will be taken from the white farmers and given back to Zimbabweans. And Zimbabweans were so happy because it got to an extent where Zimbabwe did not even have land. They were struggling to farm. They were struggling in their country. Their government had to step in. Let's also talk about South Africa. Like, we see a lot of people talking about how South Africa, their land is being owned by 80% of their land is being owned by white farmers. They are asking, when will South Africa also do things like this? When will South Africa take their land back from the white people and give it back to the black people who are still struggling to own land? Anyway guys, just watch this video, listen to what these people have to say. Are you new here? Have you subscribed or not? If you haven't subscribed, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like and drop your comment. Please take a look and watch this video.
They fought for, give their life for. You guys are going against it every day. See, look, let me remind you people, if you don't know, the white will never do anything for your benefit, and they will never ever love you. No matter how you people pretend, no matter how they themselves pretend, no matter how they invest in South Africa, they're doing it for their benefit, for their own good and that of their children. And it's because they're trying to transfer their own people to South Africa. And when the deal is done, they will show you people Pepe.
Want to negotiate the issues of land with you. They have not settled the matter. And that very same person is the very same person who is causing all this chaos. He is in control. He is in control on how you think and how you react. And he's expecting you to react the exact same way that you are reacting now. You to say Mabahambe. Because when a white farmer is found manufacturing drugs, we don't have protest of black people in South Africa who want to close down the farm because Nyabasaba Amabunu. And that's the reality of it. The truth is, even Ushaka Zulu was fighting for the enemy.
They say we shouldn't make it about race, but what do we make it about? Because tell me why a white South African farmer who is driving saw 3 black students, and then he thought, in his defense, he thought they were dogs. 3 grown women that are in their 20s or late 20s. He was driving and he said he thought they were dogs. That's why he ran over them and killed them. And guess what? None of them survived. He offered the families money, and when they arrested him, he said he thought they were dogs. Are you okay? You thought they were dogs. 3, not even 1, 3. 3 grown women. You thought they were dogs. What was in your head? What were you thinking? They are human beings. They are not dogs. I mean, you don't know the difference. And you don't know the difference between a human being and a dog. And even if it's a dog that you saw, 3 dogs, you just run over them and kill them. Are you okay? What is the problem? I'm sure Nelson Mandela, wherever he is, will be crying on behalf of you South Africans. Eh? And then someone will say, oh, it's not about race. Probably his vision. What kind of vision? Will make you. So his vision allowed him to know that it was a car. He entered his car and all that. And then his vision clearly defined 3 grown students. In a broad daylight. It was not even in the night too. And your vision described them as a dog. That is why you have to kill them. And you have to offer the families money and foodstuffs. This is life we are talking about. I mean, you can't just keep doing this thing and come up with one excuse and expect all of us to,
But by 2020, Zimbabwe signed a deal to pay those farmers $3.5 billion in compensation, not for the land, but for what was built on top of it. So the roads, the irrigation, the machinery, all built while black Zimbabweans were locked out. Infrastructure on stolen land. I mean, they used stolen labour. Was that really development or was it extraction? Black families were reclaiming land that their grandparents were pushed off of and still getting billed for it. And while some of those families are still waiting for land that they were promised, Zimbabwe is paying for pipes and tractors. Now, yes, the reform rollout had problems. Poor planning, no training, no capital. Some of the land sat idle. But that's a funding problem, not a justice problem. And now the country's under pressure. They've missed parts of the payment. So these farmers have decided that they're going to lobby to Trump. Because if he wins, they think that they'll get US pressure, World Bank leverage, maybe even sanctions back on the table. Meanwhile, Zimbabwe owes billions in external debt. Inflation is still hammering locals. Bread costs like double. Power cuts are still hitting. And now part of the country's debt is tied to a colonial legacy payout. And the timing, I don't know if it could really be worth, because Zimbabwe just launched a gold-backed currency, the ZiG. It's pegged to its own reserves. Trying to move different, trying to break free, maybe that's the problem. But real sovereignty isn't just land back, it's leverage being built, right? It's being able to run your country properly, build trust with your people, invest in farmers, keep your money clean. So anyway, what's the way forward? What if that $3.5 billion wasn't a payout, but a repayment directly into black-owned farms, co-ops, training, processors, export power, reparation through ownership? Because if you look at the wider game and you zoom out, I'm getting flashbacks of the UK. Black people had to pay off the debt for their own freedom. That compensation went to slave owners, and we were still paying it off until 2015. And then if France decides that they're going to use the same logic and demand compensation from the Sahel, set new traps around old resources. If Zimbabwe pays, who's next? Kenya, South Africa, Mali, Niger? Should a country pay former colonizers for land it reclaimed? Or is it just the cost of doing things outside Western systems? Would you pay them or stand firm? Let's talk.
Well. It seems like Africa under victimhood has jumped the border over to Zimbabwe. The 4,000 farmers whose land was seized in 2000, so 26 years ago, are now lobbying and asking the US President Donald Trump to please help them get the money for the land that they were promised. Now, in 2017, when US sanctions against Zimbabwe was at its height, and after President Emerson Mnangagwa took over from Robert Mugabe, he wanted to ease those tensions and promised these farmers that he would give them money. That was in 2017. That would have been a 20-year repayment agreement. That hasn't happened, and now they are turning to the US to interfere in Zimbabwe's political agreements with their citizens. Now, this doesn't necessarily surprise me. I actually wrote an essay about this that is going to be published by Heinrich Böll Stiftung soon about Afrikaner victimhood. And it is a global phenomenon. It is not only South Africa, Australia, and now Zimbabwe who is struggling with this kind of victimhood mentality. It is international, global, and it is emotional call to action to the powerhouses of the world, of the government of the world, to interfere in the sovereignty of these countries to come and save them. It is an emotional play for humanitarian aid, and it is working. And it is dangerous because, as we've seen, presidents and heads of state are being snatched up, they're being unalived. This is not just a laughing matter, it's serious. Think of Sarah Jane Trent, White Woman Tears. This is the equivalent of White Woman Tears. And they are crying to someone as gullible, ignorant, and power-hungry as President Trump.
Anyway, guys, I wish one day will come where laws with the law of expropriation of land, because to be honest, black South Africans are struggling to build houses in the city. They are struggling because all the lands have been owned by Afrikaners. Afrikaners own, imagine, 80% of land. The only way black South Africans own land, it is in their villages. In the city, they don't have land. Lands are being owned by these people, so these people determine whatever is happening in South Africa. Like, for example, they keep allowing European people to buy land. Imagine if European people keep buying lands, 80% of these lands are owned by white people, and if Europe they keep bringing in white people, you later on find out that South Africans will be filled with white people, like, because life will be so difficult. Because if you own land, you're rich. If you don't own land, you're just like a stranger. Imagine South Africa struggling in their country to own land while white people have taken all their lands. It is high time black South Africans wake up, protest for their land to be given back. To be honest, the same thing that is happening in Zimbabwe. South Africa should also protest, demand for their land. I don't know why they are not protesting yet. Anyway, guys, are you new? You have to subscribe. If you haven't, don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop your comment. See you guys on our next video.